Hello, everybody. This is the SuperStar Communicator podcast and live stream with Nicholas Simon, Susan Heaton-Wright, and our very, very special guest today, Michelle Connolly, who is dialing in from Canada. We are talking today about mentoring, and Michelle is an absolute expert in this. She walks the talk on this topic. So we're going to learn an awful lot about this topic. So thank you very much, Michelle. Michelle is a senior manager at Pfizer, a program director for the Pfizer Global Supply, Women's Mentoring Program, and country chair for Canada for the G100 Business Networking Wing. She lives in Manitoba with her husband and 2 children. She's an advocate for women's mentoring and networking and understands the value of making meaningful connections like we've made over the last couple of years, Michelle. So welcome.
Thank you.
Why is mentoring so important to you?
Yeah, thank you, Susan, first of all, for having me here. And I love how you emphasize Canada, like it's the middle of nowhere. I am actually in the middle of, so very happy to be connected with all of you. And yeah, I'm excited, honestly, just to talk about mentoring and hopefully get some people on the call excited about it and just a different lens on it than the typical conversation that you hear about why mentoring is important. So, I mean, if we strip it back to basics, right? Like the definition alone of a mentor is someone who's, an experienced and trusted advisor. And, we have them throughout our lives. You have them from a very young age. Usually it's your parents to start with as your informal mentors. They are a mirror for yourself to help you see yourself in a way that you don't. They can help, show a path for you that maybe you didn't see, a different direction, a different way to try something new. And it goes on into your adulthood and into your professional career as well. Mentors can really offer you that sort of that mirror view of yourself or a different perspective on yourself and help you see something that you didn't see. So, I mean, I can give you a really real example from my own experience. And that was that, as I said, I live in rural Manitoba, Canada. And for reasons with my personal life and my family, I choose not to move. This is my home. And I was always a dreamer, always had, a vision of being somewhere big. I never, aspirations were never new to me, but I didn't always know what that looked like. So I remember this would have been about 7 years ago now. I was working at an organization and I had been working my way towards this particular position. My manager at the time had been mentoring me. I had gotten my MBA, I had my science degree, I had the experience, I had the people leadership. I had nailed it. And I was so confident that I was going to get the role. And I remember, as we all can relate to, the devastating blow when you don't get the job that you really, really wanted. And so I'd gone to my mentors, my OGs, who will know who they are, and with devastation, saying, "What am I going to do?" Like that was my place to go, and I'm in rural Manitoba, and I'm not moving, and that's it. I'm done, right? And they said, "Well, wait, that was where you wanted to be, but there's some other paths, and let us show you. Let us show you some other ways that maybe you didn't see." Right. And so they did. They helped me see something that I hadn't. And I took a different path and I applied on other jobs and failed some of those as well. Did not get the jobs right away. But after perseverance, I ended up getting into a new role that was outside of the place that I had been working. And it was a growth opportunity. And it really sent me to the trajectory I am on now. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the mentors showing me the way and showing me my own light.
That's an amazing story. I am aware that there's at least one person watching. Do please introduce yourselves. And if you've got any comments or questions for Michelle, please put them in because this is interactive. We want you to be actively involved in this conversation. So, Nick, who have you had as mentors throughout your life?
Yeah, I suppose the first mentors you have are, well, your parents and then your teachers. So I've had a few very good mentors. One was my music teacher who inspired me to do music. And then my most current mentor is my careers advisor, who is essentially pushing me in the right direction towards film composing and that kind of thing. So I find mentoring is very much a focal point of showing someone what you're doing and getting their point of view and how you can focus more.
What does a good mentor look like? Because I can think of one or two people when I was younger who didn't necessarily give me the best advice, and it was based on their own limiting beliefs.
Yeah. I can take that one. So, um, I, to me, a good mentor. First, you have to have a match, right, with the mentee. So there has to be a certain level of expertise that you can offer them that's going to be relatable to the mentee. If you're too far removed in your area of interest or in maybe within your level of the organization, it might be a little more difficult for the mentor to put themselves in the mentee's shoes and really be able to understand what it is that they need. And good mentors, they really need to just accept the responsibility of knowing that they're going to learn and grow just as much as the mentee is. So I think mentors need to be humble and be willing to just adapt as they're developing that relationship with the mentee and showing them their ways. They need to be open to learning new ways as well.
We've got a couple of comments. One from LinkedIn user. There's always one, your LinkedIn user. The name doesn't come up. So many apologies. Hello, what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a mentor or gain a mentor? And Tracy, I'll come to you in a moment. Thank you for your comment as well. So tips on how to become a mentor.
Yeah. So there's different ways. So first, there's the straightforward path. So if your organization that you work for has a mentoring program, then signing up that way so they can match you with mentees, and there's already a structure there. But I would say if the question's more for an individual who maybe doesn't work in a company that has that, um, then it's really looking for opportunities in your life where you're needing a mentor. So where is it that you're needing support? Where is it that you're getting stuck? And who do you see that is has got it, is doing what you want to do? And reach out to them, and please do not just ask them to be your mentor. If you're looking for a mentor,
Oh,
oh, Susan, I hear that you are fantastic with communication skills. I see the work that you're doing, and I really want to improve on communication skills. Is that something you can help me with? Right. And then they know specifically what you're asking them for, why you're asking it. And so they're do so. And then I think the other way around, it can be the same thing, right? If you want to be a mentor to somebody, if you see somebody struggling, and it's something that you can help with, then you offer to help them. And you don't have to say, let me be your mentor. It kind of happens organically if you're helping that person to see something that they couldn't see, and you want to be able to show them a way.
oh, thank you for that. It's Rachel. It's one of my good business mates. Thank you, Rachel. One other question that I wanted to carry on from that, and I will come to you, Tracy and Gabriella, as well. I've noticed your messages, and that is if there is a mentoring scheme in an organization and there are benefits to the mentor as for their professional development, but they don't show up. They don't really do a good job for the mentee. Any tips on how to manage that situation?
Yeah. So I would say that that's something that it would be up to whoever manages that program. So there should be somebody, I would think, that helps oversee the entire program. Usually it's like people experience or human resources or whatever you would want to um, call that. And I think that going back and having a voice about that and sharing your feedback about what's working with the program and what's not working with the program so that they can continuously improve. Um, and for the mentor themselves, I mean, and before you go to, say HR, if it's someone that you've developed a good relationship with, then I would say it's worth having a candid conversation with them. Say, look, I'm showing up, and and you not showing up for me is hard, because I'm here to learn from you. You have something to offer me. I value your time and your input, and it's important to me that you're here, right? So um, I think the candid conversation with the mentor first, if you're comfortable, would be the way to go. But feedback for the program directors who are leading that program and setting it all up, they should know as well, because I mentors, as much as they learn from it, it's not about them, right? It's about the mentees. So
Brilliant. So now we've got a message from Tracy. Thank you all. Tracy Barr, who's an independent strategy consultant specializing in healthcare. I really enjoy mentoring people, so here to listen and hear how I can be the best possible mentor. Thank you, Tracy. And if you've got any comments, please feel free to share. Now, here's Gabriella Pedroso McCunn. Greetings from Montreal.
Ella.
Michelle is an OG, and she might not know it. She invited me into a network with little real working experience with me, and together we tried to make a positive change. Through that experience, we learned how to fail together. Glad she found this space to make that change. Can you share how to adjust your mindset when you don't achieve what you're working towards? Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you, Gabriella. Yes. So I think that we're hearing this message more and more these days. You hear about people having grit, which is really that desire and perseverance to achieve long-term goals. And the only way to get there is to accept the fact that you're going to fail. You're not going to get every opportunity that you wanted. You're not going to win everything that you try to achieve, but you can't stop, right? If you stop, then you're definitely not going to go anywhere. So honestly, I sometimes relate it back to parenting. I think I said I have a son with disabilities, and he can be very challenging. And often when I talk about him, people will say, well, I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, well, you don't have much of a choice once you're in the situation, right? Some days you win, some days you lose, but you have to keep going. So I think you can be disappointed when you don't win at something. You can feel sorry for yourself, for a day or two or whatever you need. But then you can't live in that space. You can't live there. You need to realize that you're not going to let your circumstances shape who you are, and that it's up to you to focus on what you're going to do next to get to where you want to be, or to make a positive change in your life.
That's a brilliant answer. Do you have any comment to add to that, Nick?
Yeah, I'd say I have a few questions about introducing mentoring. How can mentoring help you or someone?
How can it help?
Yeah.
So if you're looking to, again, if it's a specific skill set that you're looking to develop, then looking for somebody who's a match for you in that regard. They can help you to, maybe you're looking at improving communication skills. You want to be able to speak to senior leadership in the organization, but you could be a little bit rusty, speaking from experience, right? So mentors can provide you the opportunity to maybe get more face-to-face time with senior leaders to work on that communication. They can give you time, or I guess candid feedback is an important thing. So not sugarcoating the feedback that they're giving the mentees, but telling them an honest reflection of where they could improve and really shining. And confidence. Honestly, mentors can help, like being in a mentoring relationship can help boost someone's confidence so much. And again, it's really just that other point of view that's outside of your own head, your own voice that tells you that maybe you're not good enough, or that imposter syndrome that everybody is so familiar with. just having a sounding board to tell you that they see you differently than how you see yourself, and these are the great things that they see. So I think it's really about that reflection.
We have an old friend. You're not old, but we've known you for a number of years. Simon Drake, great to have you on the call. And thank you for your comment. What a powerful subject. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Simon. And he's agreed to what you've said.
Good.
Any more questions, Nick?
Yeah. So how do you start building your network?
Okay. It depends where you're starting from. But your network can come from different places. If you're talking about within an organization, then you start having, connections with people who, again, if you see someone in a meeting and they're really shining, right? You're like, wow, that person was really articulate. They had it all under control, or they seem to, I don't know, maybe they know a lot about pivot tables in Excel and you really struggle with that. Whatever it is that you're needing support with, it starts with reaching out and being brave enough to know that I'd say 99% of the time, if you ask someone for help, they're going to say yes. People intrinsically want to help one another. So I think it starts with finding what it is that you're seeking to connect with somebody on, and just finding that common ground, and then building that relationship from there. But it can be done in your personal life as well, right? So for myself, again, my son having disabilities, I've done a lot of work to build a support structure for him. And I go out to different activities where I see other mothers, and I can see their kids with similar struggles. And I make a point of reaching out to that mother and saying to her, hey, how are things going with you? He seems busy, or however you need to get the conversation going. And then I help them find the resources that I found so that they can get the support they need for their families. And then they become part of my network, right? I've now helped them with the situation, and, maybe in the future they help me. So you really do have to be brave and make the first move to make the connections with people.
What a wonderful person you are, Michelle. How fantastic. I've had a couple of LinkedIn users, what their name, you rock, Michelle. So proud of you. And hi, Michelle, but I don't know who they are. So please let us know who you are. Nicholas, do you have any more questions for Michelle?
Yes. So continuing from that kind of idea of making connections, asking people for help, how can you make more meaningful connections via the internet?
Ooh.
So that one is interesting. I remember I was at an event, and I think she was from Catalyst speaking, and she had said, and this might be more this at the time was directed more for women. Women tend to not add people, say, on LinkedIn as much as maybe a man would, because we're told that it's not, you need to be safe, right? You need to be careful about sharing your information, who you're connecting with. And so we intrinsically have this need to protect ourselves and not want to expand our network, because you want to be private and you don't want to put yourself out there. But forums like LinkedIn are meant for those professional networks and for building that. And the information that's on there is only what you choose to put on there. And it is a safe way to connect with professionals. Don't get me wrong. I've had people add me who then try to just chat, and I'm not up for just chatting whoever that person was, but then you just disconnect with them, and you move on to the next connection. So again, you'll see it'll recommend people for you to connect with that are maybe in the same industry that you're in, that are interested in something. Maybe they liked a similar article to you, and you can connect with them. And if you can't connect directly with them, you can send them a message as well to say why you want to connect. So sometimes that helps eliminate the creep factor, I would call it. So you are trying to connect, and someone might think it's coming out of nowhere. You can kind of put in the message what it is that you're wanting to connect on, or why you're interested in connecting with them.
So we've got some more love for you, Michelle. Is it Rajini? A former Pfizer employee and great friend of you, Michelle. The love's coming across
Yes.
on this live stream. So how could we be better mentors, whether formally or informally?
Okay, so I think it starts with first of all, if it's for the mentors themselves or the mentoring program, if you want to look at the mentors themselves, you need to remember as a mentor, it's not about you. So to the comment earlier about if you're working for a company where the mentors get some sort of um, high five or potential in for being mentors, you're in it for the wrong reason. You know, the mentors have to be in it because you're invested in wanting to grow other people. You want to see them grow and develop, and that has to innately be the reason that you're in it. So the reasons have to be right. Again, being humble and open to learning from your mentees, and really just seeing a problem even if they can't. So when you recognize that someone's having a problem, my example earlier with the parents struggling with their children, right? Maybe they didn't realize that there was a solution out there. So recognizing that there was a problem that you could help solve, really looking for that instead of just putting your head down and saying, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. My calendar's full. I don't have time to bring that person along with me, right? So seeing the problem and not ignoring it, taking a voice and recognizing it, I think is all critical to being a good mentor. And really, I think the final thing I want to say on that, and Nick, if there's anything you want to add, but mentors need to act as a mirror again to enable individuals to see themselves more clearly, but not try and make them little versions of yourself, right? Just like as we were parents, help the mentee grow into their best versions of themselves, not a version of you.
That's a really good
point. Is there any difficulty in that? What kind of thing as a mentor can you do to not have that pushing or encouraging someone to become a kind of carbon copy of yourself? How can you kind of encourage someone to be themselves in their own right?
A lot of active listening, which is something I struggle and work with during every conversation. You can't be thinking about the next thing you want to say. You can't be trying to solve the problem for them. You just want to listen to where they're getting stuck and offer them options and tools, but to let them find their own way. And they might come up with something that you don't agree with. But it doesn't mean that it's as a mentor, it's your job to tell them that that's not the right way, right? You don't want them to fail, but if they're doing something different than how you would do it, but the means gets to the end, then there's no need to force them down a path that would be your path. I don't know if that was a straightforward answer, but
I'm looking down the list of people that are here that have commented. I know I'm going to shout out for Simon Drake because I know what a good leader you are, and I'm absolutely certain that you do mentor your talent. Michelle, you're also a leader. What are the benefits as a leader mentoring your team?
so do you want me to answer that or Simon?
Yes. No, Simon can't answer other than typing something. It's your call, Michelle.
So as a leader, rephrase the question, sorry.
That as a leader, what benefits are you mentoring your team?
So by mentoring your team, again, you help bring that diversity and inclusion onto your team. You're embracing diverse perspectives. You're seeing each person for who they are and helping them to grow to be the best versions of themselves. And that's going to make your team stronger. When somebody can show up at work every day and be their authentic self and have that psychological safety to be able to speak up if they have a different opinion, to see things differently, then you're going to have a stronger team. So mentoring your team to be the best versions of themselves is just going to make your team stronger and ultimately more productive for you.
Thank you for that. Now, You are very much part of mentoring women in your organization. Why is it particularly important to have mentoring programs for female talent?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. So first of all, you can spit out all the numbers, right? You can look at the um, internet and look at all the numbers that tell you that, and gender and equality is at like 68% for the world, and it's going to be 132 years before we close the gap, right? So you can go and look and see the numbers. But for the people that are living it day to day, someone might have a similar experience to what I had. And that was, I would say back in, 2016, when I first got involved with women's mentoring, I didn't think it was needed. I didn't see it as a problem. I would be one of those people who said, why do you need women's mentoring? Right? Like, why isn't it just mentoring? Why can't we include everybody? But I got invited into the program, and when I came for my very first face-to-face event, where there's a group of women and then female and male mentors, and there were sponsors, and everyone was in one room, and they were talking and they were sharing ideas and they were energized. And after listening to other women's stories, I realized that just because it wasn't a problem for me where I was in my life, it didn't mean it wasn't a problem. And so I took that upon myself as a call to action, that I could do this, and I can help lift other women up, and I can help show them a way and help them find their voice, and just help, close that gap, hopefully quicker than 132 years from now.
Brilliant answer. And we got some answers from Simon as well. The benefits of mentoring: without the shadow of doubt, it increases engagement and ownership, thus ensuring your customers receive a really personalized experience from team members who are bought into what you do as a business. In addition, a solid team increases retention and therefore reduces cost and time for recruitment. He's nailed it.
Nailed it. He had time to type it out. He's not on camera.
We'll have to get him on, then you on. I think that would be brilliant. You up for it, Simon? Yeah, carry on, Michelle.
About the women's mentoring?
Yes.
So like I was saying, and so once I became part of the program and started to see where other women were struggling and the difference that can make, it really, again, came to my realization that it's our responsibility for, our daughters and for the future to come, to continue to have those types of programs, so that women have a seat at the table, that they have a voice, so that either they're not holding themselves back or they're not allowing others to hold them back. That they can grow a network and have their own version of the proverbial golf course, if you will, right? A network of people who will show up for you. Like I was talking about earlier, my OGs, right? The people that are going to have your back, so that, you're surrounded who are going to, what was the phrase that I read earlier this week? They're going to talk about you in a room full of people and full of opportunities. So people who are going to pull you up and raise you up, to really get to where it needs to be, because we are stuck. As I said, there aren't enough female leaders across the globe. We're not there yet. And the only way they're going to get there is by having the support, having the network, having the same opportunities as men do.
Very, very interesting point. So before we finish, Nick, have you got any more questions?
Yeah, I was interested in, I've been doing editing for a podcast, and someone mentioned that people were actually put off by mentoring. How might people be put off by mentoring, and how can you convince them to undertake it?
So I think I started this conversation highlighting that I didn't want this to be the typical, here's the key benefits you can get from mentoring, and you take it off a list. Like, I think that it's out of context. So if you had a bad mentoring experience, if it's been overused, mentoring erosion, if you will, where it's not really reflective of what it truly is, I think people just need to think of it in a different way. And so again, it's not the lost person walking around saying, will you be my mentor? It's having more than one mentor. It's having people who will have your back and who want to see the best in you and who are going to give you great advice and pull you along with them. And if you look at it that way, there really is no downside. I don't know how anyone could be put off from surrounding themselves with people who only want to see the best in them and the best for them.
Really, really important. And Simon's added something. If they are put off by mentoring, it's essentially as they've never had a good mentor like Simon or Michelle. Do you have any other questions, Nick?
I don't think so.
I wanted to ask one question regarding mentors and sponsors, because often people think that they get a mentor that the doors will open.
Yeah. So the difference really is, to me, and I talked to you a little bit about this earlier, is that a mentor is really someone who's going to help show you the way. They're going to help you see your own light and see where you need to be and help you to get there, but they're not going to take you there. They're not pulling you along. They're just helping you find your own light in your own way. Whereas a sponsor helps everybody else see your light. So they're the ones that are going to talk about you when you're not in the room. And often what comes from good mentoring relationships is once you've built that trust and the mentor knows you, they know your skills, they know you as a person, they know where you want to be, then they often become your sponsors. They talk about you when they walk into a room and there's other people talking. They're like, hey, I know someone really great. She's fantastic. You need to see her shine. So.
Oh, brilliant. So before we finish, what are your 3 top tips about mentoring to share with the audience?
Number 1 is it's a two-way street. So if you, once you find yourself fortunate enough to be in a mentoring relationship, remember to show up for one another. So mentors show up for your mentees. They're counting on you. Mentees show up for your mentors. They've carved time out and they've shown that they value you. So you need to make time for each other. So showing up for one another. If you don't have mentors in your life right now, and you don't have a network, then just take those first steps. So really important that if you don't have it, that you start with that now, whether that's reaching out to somebody online, like you said, LinkedIn, somebody at work, somebody in your personal life, start building those connections to get your network going. And lastly, it would just be really to have a growth mindset and be willing to grow with each other. So both mentees and mentors are going to grow together from that relationship, and only good things can come of it.
Wow, what brilliant topics, and what a great discussion. And thank you very much, Michelle. But thank you very much also people that have contributed, particularly Simon, who's taken over at the chat line, about this important topic. The fact that we can grow as people, both by being a mentor and being menteed. So if you want to contact Michelle, Michelle is available on LinkedIn. I'm sure I speak on your behalf, Michelle, but I'm sure that you wouldn't mind people connecting with you directly. And think about how you could be a mentor for somebody else, and who would you like to mentor you? So that's what I'm going to leave you with. So until next time, thank you very much for being here for the Superstar Communicator podcast and live stream from Nicholas Simon and Susan Wright. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.